and welcome to another episode. In today's episode, I am going to be explaining the prompt method in JavaScript. But before we get started, if you're new to my channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. That really helps me out in case you want to support my channel. And if you want to get notified every time that I upload a new video, you can hit that ring bell. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, everybody. So to get started in today's episode, I need you to open MDN. We're going to be reading a little bit of the prompt method. So on the search box, all you have to do is type in PROMPT, which stands for prompt, and that should give you the first article that says window prompt method, because the prompt method is for the window in JavaScript. Now, I also have here the same code that we have been working so far with, the website, and here I have my code. What I am going to do for this episode is just clear this out so that we can start fresh. And I'm also going to clear out this. I'll just leave the JavaScript demo H1 right there. Let's hit save to both. And then let's just hit refresh. And there you go. So far, so good. Now, I do have some style in here. Let me just delete that style as well. I don't want anything in the document. Let me just clear that out. Okay, perfect. So now we have everything empty so that we can start our coding lesson today. Okay, so first and foremost, let's take a look and see what the prompt method is and how you can use it. So the prompt method, let's read here first a little bit. So the prompt method instructs the browser to display a dialog with an optional message prompting the user to input some text and to wait until the user either submits the text or cancel the dialog. Okay, so pretty much it's like a pop-up window that is going to ask you to type in something and then hit OK or cancel. Okay, that's what it's going to do. That's why it's part of the window, right? Because it's the window, the one that will pop up this tiny window in order for you to type something in. Okay, so how do we use it? Here's the syntax. Typically, you're going to use it's very simple, prompt and then in parentheses, right? Since it's a method, you're going to type a message here and then a default value. And there are some parameters. You have messages, default value, and then you have return value. So you can read here a little bit more, but this is something, this is kind of like how it's going to look like. The page, blah, 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 .org says, what is your sign? And then you type something here, and then you will either click OK, or if you don't want to click anything, then you just hit cancel, right? So let's take a look at it and let's type something into our code so that you can see how this works out. And now, since you are, learning every single day a little bit more with this course, I am going to be using some of the things that we have learned so far with the DOM. So let's get back into our code. And the first thing here that we are going to do, let's make sure that we add here a button. Okay, because this button is the one that I want you to click so that you can get that little window. And then we're going to add a button. I'm going to give an ID to this button, and we're going to call, I don't know, let's call it my button, or let's just call it name button. Okay, just like that, name button. And then, of course, let's close this out. And then this button is going to say, the text of the button is going to say, what is your name? Let's just ask something very simple. Okay, so the button is going to say, what is your name? Now let's hit save, going back to our code, refresh. And there you go. So what is your name? Right now it's not doing anything because we haven't configured this button yet. But okay, we have a button saying, what is your name? Okay, now the next thing I want to do is add some type of script to this button so that it prompts us that pop-up window. Okay, we are going to be using the prompt method now. So for that, let's go to JavaScript, and then the first thing that I want to say is let's do document. I will do it simple without creating much variables and stuff like that. So let's just go straight to it, and let's just say document dot get element by the ID of, and then let me just type in the name in here that we gave to this to make sure everything is written properly. Okay, with the ID of name button, and then write in here, I am going to add a property that is going to say add, okay, and then event listener. And then here we're going to add an event listener saying that whenever somebody clicks on this button, then we are going to execute a function that is going to be called show name. Something like that, okay? Show name. Now let's create that function so that you can see how all this will look like. So the function is going to have the name of show name, because we already typed that in here. You can call it whatever you want. I'll just call it show name because this is going to show our name. Okay. And it's going to be called show name. And then let's type in here what the function is going to do. So here we're going to declare a variable. So let the name equal to whatever we type in on a prompt box. So the name is going to equal to prompt. Please enter your name. And then I am going to put some columns in there, and I'll give it, and just like that, I'll give it a closure to this statement. Okay, and then we're going to create another variable, and I am going to call this variable message. And then I'm going to equal this to, the message is going to be hello, right? A string called hello. Then let me add a comma here, and I will add a space inside of that string. So everything looks fine. So it's going to say hello, and then let's add whatever, or you know what? Let me just make sure that I add the name first. So let's add the name variable plus, so it's going to say hello plus whatever name we type in the prompt. And then we're going to add, in addition to that, just an exclamation mark. Okay, so hello, whatever name you type in, and that's what it's going to say, the message, after we have input this, and then we hit OK. Okay, so I think that is fair enough. Now, there's one more thing that I want to say here, because this still is not going to show us anything unless we type in document dot get element by the ID. Okay, we're going to type in that get element by the ID. So document dot get element by ID. And then since we right now don't have, because we only have this button and then we have this JavaScript demo on top, we could either grab the ID of these H1 right here, right? This one right here, my H1, or we could create a new one. So let me just create something new. Let's just add a paragraph in here. And I'm going to give this paragraph an ID. Let me just make a space here. I'm going to give it an ID, and this ID is going to say, it's going to be called greeting. Okay, and I'll just leave this paragraph empty so that it doesn't show when we first load the page, but it'll show afterwards. Okay, so this is going to be called greeting. So let's copy this ID. Okay, and then go back to the script here, and then let's paste it in there. So the document is going to get the element by the ID of greeting, and let's make sure we add quotes here. If not, then we're going to be getting an error. Get the ID by of greeting, and then dot text content is going to be changed to whatever message we have. Okay, so just like that. So let me just go ahead and hit save, and let me explain a little bit the whole code that we just typed in here. So first, we use document.getElement by the ID of name button, which is this name button right here, right? So we're selecting the button. And then to that button, we added an event listener, which says that on click, we're going to execute a function called show name. Now, what does that function called name does is the following. Here we type in function, and we created two variables. One variable for this function is called name, which it has a prompt, right? So whenever they click on it, it's going to prompt them to first enter their name, right? And then it's going to do another thing, which is going to show a message. So hello plus whatever name we typed in here, right? And then an exclamation sign. You will see how that looks in just a moment. And then to display the message, we use something called document.getElement by ID of greeting. And then we use the property .text content, so that text content can equal to the message that we have here, to this variable, but obviously including the name that we type on the prompt. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So let's just make sure, let's hit save there. And going back into our code, what we're going to do is hit, and let me make sure, because I added the paragraph here, I will hit save here as well, and Control S here, or Command S if you're on a Mac. And then let's hit refresh. Okay, so now if I click what's your name, I should get that prompt window. So what is your name? There you go. So this page says, please enter your name. So then I am going to add my name in here. So let's say Lixi, right? Then I hit OK. And then now it is showing me, hello, Lixi, right? So the function is working perfectly. And just like that, I just show you an example in what the prompt does. So the prompt is this portion right here. Whenever we click on the button, this is the prompt. So this portion that we wrote in here under the name variable, it's what is prompting this window to show this. Okay? So, I mean, I hope this makes sense, and I hope that you will, play around with this and create your own code and create your own function to see what else you can do with the prompt. I mean, you can do whatever you want, honestly, because this type of prompts, you probably will use them whenever you're coding a website and you want the user to input something so that then something else can happen. So your job is to make sure that you study, go back here to the window prompt method in MDN, and read the entire documentation. The best way for you to understand every single rule there is inside of each method that we have been taking a look at in this course is by reading. And do not only limit yourself to read about prompt. There are way more functions. There are way more methods in here, either from the window or from the document that we haven't taken a look at. So I really, really encourage you to go ahead and take a closer look to all of them. We already saw this one called alert, but I mean, there is a whole bunch of them. So we are not going to be able to cover all of them in this course. I will probably show you a couple of them, and we are going to create a project probably next week with whatever we have learned so far. But you need to make sure that you study on your own, because when you're coding your website, I don't know what exactly you're going to be doing, and you're probably going to need things that we haven't been taking a look at in this code. So just study, okay? And that was it for this episode, everybody. If you like it, remember to give me a like, and that will help out very much my channel. And if you want to get notified every time that I upload a new video, you can hit that ring bell. And remember that you can always ask Lixi. Bye, everyone, and see you again in the next episode.